Still of the night, I think of you. My heart beats with every thought of you.
When she came to, she was sitting on the couch. The girl stood over her with a gun. "She's awake, mother." "Mother? When did her mother return? Where was Mrs. Ebo?" The housekeeper came around to look at Mma with a sneer. "Mrs. Ebo?" Mma couldn't believe it. "What is the meaning of this, Mrs. Ebo?" "I would say it's pretty obvious, madam." Mma struggled. "If I were you, I would stay put. This is your last moment on earth. If I were you, I would love to go peacefully." The girl touched her cheek. The gravity of the situation dawned on Mma then. She looked around and saw in the living room some of her boxes stacked away. No way. This was not happening, she thought. The mad woman and her psycho niece were going to kill her. The fear she felt then was earth-shattering. She thought of what to do. There was no one to help her. She felt her fear grow tremendously. She stifled it. Fear will not let her think. She needed all of her wits about her if she was going to survive this horror. But who would save her? Uche had already left. He was not coming back till later in the day. It was all up to her if she was going to stay alive. Keep them talking, her mind said to her. Ask for explanation. She needed to stall for time. The longer she stayed alive, the better for her. "Why are you doing this, Mrs. Ebo? What's going on?" "Shut up!" The girl smacked her on the cheeks. "No, don't. She wants an explanation. Let's give her some honey. It is the least we can do before she dies. I have been in Uche's employment like forever, ever since he left home. We have worked hard for him, took care of all these beautiful things for him, made sure he was well fed and clean. I imagine he paid you well." "Oh, he did, but not in the way that mattered," the girl said. "We had a plan that once my daughter is of age, he would marry her." Mama was taken aback. "Your daughter?" "I convinced my cousin that living in a remote place would not be good for a growing girl, and she couldn't tell Uche which of us she belongs to." "I see. But why do you think Uche would marry your daughter?" "Let's just say we had an agreement." The mother smiled at her. Mama could see clearly then the evil on her face. How could Uche have been so gullible? He was always very perceptive. How did he not see right through this witch? "What kind of an agreement did you have with him?" "Oh well," she smiled. "I don't know why we are wasting time talking to her. We should do away with her before someone comes." "Patience, honey, patience. I want to savor this moment." "My sister asked him when I decided that my beautiful daughter go to school from his home, and he agreed. He thought it was a good idea." "What was it he said?" "That she would be able to watch over me and turn me into a good person. Only that he forgot to say a good wife for him. But I know that was what he wanted, but didn't want to say it." "You were not in his mind? How could you have known what he was thinking?" "What about the way he used to look at me? Like I was the finest thing, the most valuable treasure he has." These people were sick, and Mma was sick to her stomach, but she needed all the time she could get. She prayed to God to save her somehow. "If he looked at you that way, he wouldn't have had any need for me." "Yes, that was until he met you. Of course there were other women, but they were never a threat. Right from the first time we saw you, we knew you were trouble, so we planned. We were clever. We had a plan A. When it failed, here we are with plan B." "Enough talking, mother. Who should take the shot?" the daughter asked. Alarmed, Mma searched for something else to say to distract them. "Uche will have both of you hanged if you do this. You know him." To her surprise, they began to laugh. She was breathing heavily and very frightened, but at least they were no longer talking about who should take the shot. "Why do you think your things are here? You ran away with the man who brought you red roses." Mma stared in shock. "You thought they were from Uche?" He laughed again. "If only you had stayed away after we used that Angela, none of this would have happened." Mma's head snapped up. "You didn't think he invited her, did you?" They both laughed. "I was always nice to her because I knew she was not a threat. I was the one who told her to come and threatened my sister to go through with the plan or we would kill you and pin it on her. So I told Angela that This might be her last chance to get Uche back. You didn't know I was coming over, Mma told the mad woman. Oh, but I knew. Mr. Uche hinted about it when he called from the airport. He asked if you were there and the plan got all better then. So my dear, the woman walked up to her daughter and took the gun. We will dispose of your body and boxes and make it look like you left. She squeezed her eyes. Her heart pounded in her chest. She prayed in that final moment that Uche would find someone who would love him the way she did. She also remembered her mother. If only she had not been too stubborn to forgive her. And she forgave her there and then, and waited, breathing each air with relief, thinking each one would be her last. She heard the click of gun at the same time she heard the bang on the door. For a moment she was afraid to believe it, thinking it was something her dying mind had conjured to lessen the pain. Who could that be? Mma heard the housekeeper asking. She opened her eyes. When she saw their confused and terrified glances towards the door, she believed it. Someone was actually at the door. The Lord had sent someone. She didn't care who it was as long as these two witches would be stopped. Uche has a key, so he wouldn't knock, the housekeeper announced. I will peep. It's over. Whoever it is would immediately know that something is wrong. Give it up now before it is too late. It would be too late if you are allowed to live another day. Be wise. What can you possibly achieve if you end up in prison? Give it up and live to complete your mission another day. Shut up! The woman pointed the gun at her. Her daughter came back at that moment. Well, she asked her daughter anxiously. I believe it is her mother. The woman looked exactly like her. Mma stopped herself from crying out. She was not going to let Amber be a part of this. If she was going to die, then she would rather do it alone. I don't have a mother, she said quickly, too quickly. Perhaps a sister, the woman rejoined. It doesn't matter who she is, but she is getting in the way of the plan. We should eliminate her too. If no one opens the door for her, she would think no one is at home. She would leave. The woman considered Mma's suggestion for a moment. Then she gave her her evil smile. This woman, whoever she is important to you. She nodded at her daughter. Very well then, I'll give you a chance to save her. She turned to the daughter. Lead her to the door. The daughter looked at her reluctantly. Do it! If she can get the woman to leave, she would save her, but if not, the woman would join the party. This is a waste of time. We have the one we want. Let the other woman knock to her heart feel and leave. What is the use if you cannot enjoy watching the victim suffer? Do it now. The girl led her to the door. Mma opened the door with shaky hands. What do you want? She said to the woman who gave her life. The woman who might never know that her only daughter forgave her. But that right then didn't matter. What mattered was passing a message somehow to her to go get help. She only hoped that Amber was smart enough to get it. Amber took in her shabby appearance and knew at once that something was wrong. Are you alright? What do you care? Please leave, she said, deliberately trying to make eye gestures at her. Amber saw it immediately and gasped. What was happening? She didn't know what to think. Would she be fighting with Uche? Uche would never hurt a woman, she thought. Then it dawned on her that her daughter was trying to pass her a message. She had to go get help. Sweetheart, I'm your mother, so I'll keep coming till I'm sure you have forgiven me. She turned to leave. Mma breathed a sigh of relief, but shouted when the housekeeper pushed her out of the way and pointed the gun directly at Amber's back. One more step and you're dead. Both of you must think I'm a fool, passing messages to each other that way. So Mma was back at the same place as the beginning, except that this time she was with her mother. Amber was busy looking around the whole room. What is going on here? Who are you people? Let me introduce myself. I am Mrs. Ebo, the housekeeper. She is Stacy, my daughter, and Uche's fiancée. Amber was too shocked to talk, and at that point Mma became very angry. Uche would never marry you. Even if you killed me, I assure you that he would never consider it. He doesn't even know you exist as it is now. So go ahead and kill me, but you will never get what you want. And I was just coming from her store. There are others on their way here. I came early because I wanted some time alone with my daughter. Eva needs some final adjustments to her wedding gown. She has been told you are here, so she's on her way here with her fiancé and her mother, and they know I came this way too. Whatever you are planning, you won't get away with it. She saw the woman weighing the situation. It only means we have to act fast. It means we think about this deeply before we act. Yes, think about it. What are you going to gain from all this? Uche is a man of the world. He has to keep up appearances. Do you think he would ever consider marrying a mere housekeeper's daughter? How will he introduce you to his friends and business associates? Shut up, Stacy shouted at Amber. Mma watched Amber expertly put fear in them, and somehow she knew with that fear, the pair would make a mistake that could save their lives. The girl turned to her mother, eyes blazing. If you had not insisted on savoring all the moment, we would have had this over and done with by now. We wouldn't have had this complication to deal with. You are all but a child. Can't you see the way she's manipulating you? Do you want to marry Uche? Yes, Stacy answered. Do you want to be the mistress of all this? Travel all over the world? Shop at the best boutiques in the world? Teach that snobbish Rose and Eva a lesson of their lives? And teach Chuck and Stanley never to look through you like you're a statue? The girl answered yes to all her mother's questions, and the two women watched with wonder as the girl regained her confidence. Then let's do it, and when they get here, we kill all of them. Mma gasped with horror at the event unfolding before her. She cringed with pity for the girl whom the mother had brainwashed. She wondered why a mother would deliberately do that to her daughter. Amber spoke in their native tongue. I made all that up. No one is coming this way anytime soon. If we are going to stay alive, we are going to do it on our own. Any ideas? The sting of slap didn't stop Amber from wanting to get up to slap the woman back. The struggle shattered the glass figurine on the table, but the woman pointed the gun at Amber, calming her down. Amber picked a piece of the glass as she settled down. If I hear that rotten language again, I will shoot one of you. What are we still waiting for? Stacy asked. Don't worry, my daughter will make a good wife for Uche. Stacy handed her a throw pillow, and she walked slowly to Mma, pulled the pillow against her head. Wait, Amber said. Before I die, I want to say something to my daughter. She turned to Mma. I love you. I always had. But your father and I wanted different things. We couldn't live together. I was unhappy and I meant to live for a while, but your father would have none of that, Mother. I have forgiven you. I have waited for years to understand why you left. Now it doesn't matter anymore. Amber gasped. What a touching sentiment. Amber pushed the housekeeper who was about to shoot Mma point blank. The housekeeper was forced to sit. The push shook her hands as she pulled the trigger. Mma fell on the ground noiselessly. Amber screamed. Uche was turning the keys in the lock when he heard the shot and screamed. He eased the door open and entered. The sight that greeted him was his housekeeper holding a gun over his mother-in-law and his wife lying on the ground bleeding. She's dying. You have to get her to the hospital. Amber screamed to no one in particular. The housekeeper and Stacy saw him then. They became confused. They were not expecting him. Stay where you are, sir, or I will finish her up. No, you won't, Mother, Stacy said. This is Uche, the man I love. Uche wanted to kill the woman with his bare hands. He was so mad, but he also knew he had to be cautious. The woman was holding a gun against Mma's head as she bled unconscious or dead. He didn't know, but he prayed. I said, don't come any closer. The woman made a mistake at last. She trained the gun at Uche, and Stacy would have none of that. She made a mad dive for her mother, but Uche was faster. Some of his marine training came in. He knocked the gun out of the woman's hand and knocked her out with one blow to her head. Mother? Stacy called then, looking at Uche with fright, but he knocked her out too. We need to get her to the hospital. She's not moving. She's not moving. Amber was losing it, while Uche carefully lifted Mma up and made a run for the door.
I am Zikora, your new housekeeper.
Do you have 2 million naira?
If I get 2 million, go there for this problem.
This isn't what I want. Moreover, you can't be that expensive.
The fact that I accepted to execute your plans does not put me in a place of a whore.
What are you doing here? What is this?
How is your heart on all this? You are so relaxed. I'm gonna tease him. You have been looking for a way to make him fall for you. And finally he does, and you just reject him? I think I'm the one falling for him. I don't want that day to come where I would have to betray him.
I want you to break the heart of stone.
Something tells me I'll be needing all my energy tonight.
Amazing.
This application has been altered. It is no longer stable.
You set this all up, Jason. I know your game.
I have 24 hours to come up with something, or else I will lose half of Stone Industries.
And if it comes to that, will you give it up?
If I come back and you are still here, you don't like what you will see. Make sure they leave.
If you double cross me, I will make sure you rot in prison.
Enough!
How is it that you turn me down, but you're going out there to sleep with another man, as poor as you are?
In the still of the night, I think of you. My heart beats with every thought of you. You're the one I can't let go. In your arms I find my home. Love, sweet love, it's you I'm dreaming.